Hi. I'm late a little. I'm a little late today, but there's reasons. If you were there yesterday at the end of my stream, I mentioned that I had a couple options and that maybe I would try playing Identity V, or maybe I would try or maybe I would try playing Canvas Menagerie, the demo, but I had technical difficulties this morning. I had technical difficulties mainly with Identity V, but also I wasn't sure about my layout yet for Canvas Menagerie. So I was like, I don't know. And it's like an off morning, so I don't know. I needed something a little that I knew what was going on. But yeah, I'll try them again a different time. But not today. I said yesterday it'd be a surprise what we'd play, and it's a surprise. Hi, we're playing Our Life. Yes. Okay. So yeah, normally I play Our Life on Mondays, but I guess this is the reason why we turn on notifications. No. Okay, so yes, here I am today to play this game. I realized there was one more thing I usually do that I didn't do because I forgot, because as I mentioned, I'm kind of like off today. A little scattered my brain is. Okay, blah 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 blah. Okay. I usually just close. I have the thing. I usually have. Oh my gosh! I only have half a water today. Because I was sitting here trying to figure out what I'm doing. Yeah, I always get jitters, but I just feel. Ugh. That's okay. It'll get better as I go on. But there was one more reason why I wanted to play this today. Oh my gosh, you didn't hear anything. There's one more reason I wanted to play this today. And that reason is that I want my best friend to get a little taste of this game. Because she may or may not tune in, I don't know. But if she does, she can see it today because she usually works when I'm streaming, which, you know, is a little bit comforting for me, knowing that people I know aren't watching, but at the same time, I want her to play the game. So if she stops by, she'll get to see the game a little bit. But yes, so wait, where is it? So hello everyone. I like to try to use my emotes when I can, because why not? You gotta use them, right? Okay, so if I just click continue, it'll be where I left off. Yeah, okay, because I couldn't remember if I came on or not and did anything. Right, so a recap of what happened last time, because I didn't type one up. I gotta start typing up the... Ah, she's here! Okay, I'll give a little recap of what happened last time, because I didn't type one up, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But last time the main character in Cove went surfing. In this one, oh wait, actually, we got an image for that. Hold up, we got an image for that. This is Cove. We went surfing. He likes to surf. This is him in the first episode. Oh, he has different outfits based on the choices you make throughout the games. The one, shoot, I don't know which pants he actually wears in my game, but in my game, Cove looks a little bit like, wait, where's his glasses? Like that. But it depends on like the options you choose throughout the game. But yeah, so last time we went surfing and girl don't know the buttons. and just hung out for like a long period of time on the day. And then in growing, there's a lot of talk about like, well, getting older, but like also developing feelings and stuff and whatnot. That was a thing. And so today we'll be playing probably probably 2 of them, maybe 3 of them. We'll see. Yeah, I got sad because I know that if you play Hangman in this one, it can come up again in step 3, but I was looking into it and it's like one of the DLCs and I'm like, dang it. But yeah, okay, we'll do family. We'll get started. Okay. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of the heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you. Some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had gotten to see a few days ago. Okay, so this is Lee, our cousin. I'm also playing as one of my characters from my script, but yes, so this is Lee. She is our cousin in game. Yeah. It was unbelievable. There was singing, dancing, and crazy stunts. It was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've got to see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. And she was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. Okay, it says, you also liked to sing, but you weren't very good. You also liked to sing and had talent of your own. You didn't like to sing, but you had been told you were good at it. You weren't good at singing, and that suited you fine. Okay, knowing Ty, he is one of these 2, for sure. Because I don't think he'd be very good at it. In his mind, he's not like, oh, I'm a good singer, but I think he probably would sing sometimes. Well, he doesn't like attention very much. If this was Ryan, I'd click this one. But I think I'll click this one. That didn't stop you from doing it, though. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come watch too. It'd totally work. Yes, let's do it. I don't know about that. The idea gave you stage fright. Sure, I'll give it a go. That's not a good idea. It'd be embarrassing. Ty's one of these 2. I don't know if he really has stage fright though. Cause like it's like a casual agreeing, but like I don't think, yeah. We'll do this one. It wasn't something you had really thought about before, but if Lee wanted to do it, then you could at least give it a shot. Exactly. I like that oftentimes when I know I choose the right answer, like for the character when the next dialogue box comes up, because it's like, exactly, that's better words than what I meant. Lee clapped in excitement and bounced on the balls of her feet, beyond happy that you were on board with her idea. I'm gonna sing. Do you want to too? Or maybe do something else? I'll sing too. I'll dance. I'll write the song. I'll do some kind of stunt that goes to the music. I'll pick the outfits. I'll do the makeup. I'll make a backdrop of some kind or some kind of stage. Ty's gonna want to pick the outfits. That's a great job for you. You always dress so fashionably. Is there anything else that's coming to your head? Oh, no, that's all. One more thing. Okay. Trying to decide how much you should participate in it. I think you'd have fun with that. Great idea. You'll be great at that. Is there anything else? Let's see. Is there anything else? I'm gonna flip a coin. I'm notorious of flipping coins when I need to make decisions. I actually flipped several before I started streaming today. Okay, it says that he should do one more thing, so I'll probably try to do something that'll actually be on the stage. What would Ty do if his cousin was like, let's do a performance? I mean, if it's family and friends, maybe he'd be okay with this. I don't think he's really like a stunt person. Okay, then he'll tag along on the singing, I suppose. Cool, we'll perform an incredible duet. I think that'll all make an amazing show. You've got things pretty covered. The two of you ran back to your house to grab the supplies you needed, dodging your mom's amused questions before heading back out to the blanket to get started. You laid down on the blanket together, your MP3 player in hand, and the two of you swiped through the songs to choose one you both liked. Lee and you discussed the plans in detail, settling on a song first and then practicing out parts for the show. The afternoon passed quickly, the sun dropping lower and lower in the sky, and after having thoroughly worked out how the song was going to go, you decided to take a break. Oh, you know, we should have invited Cove to watch us practice our show. He could tell us if it's bad before we put on the real thing. That's smart. You guessed that would have been okay. I'm glad you didn't see. You said nothing. Okay, so... Ty is someone who does get a little embarrassed about things, but like also he's pretty chill about things. And I think he would agree that it's probably a smart idea to have someone tell them how their practice is going. So we'll do that one. We should ask him to watch us later. Okay. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Yeah, he is a good person. I like him too. He's okay. He's kind of boring. I don't really like him. Yeah, he's a good person. I knew you'd think so. But speaking of boys we like, what's the relationship status between you and Cove? Is it good? Yeah, okay, wait. I don't think I can check it during the game, can I? There is a... Hold up. Whoops. I know the buttons so well. There is... Oh, those are the buttons I'm looking for. So, I'm gonna save really fast. I'll just save right here real quick. Ignore the fact that I'm always saving. So, I'm gonna side rail real quick just to explain this. So in the game, you can so you have a character customization. You can customize your character, but then also you can set the relationship that you have with Cove, and I currently have it set to crush. Cause yeah, I was like I should play this game and do a romance. So there's that. That's not actually what he currently looks like. Actually, in the because they're rewinded. But anyways, I always forget how to do everything. Right click. Yeah, that's what his hair looks like currently. There's like little locks. But anyways, back to where we left off. I just wanted to explain that there are like different modes, so this conversation's probably only happening because it's set. Well, probably not only happening, but like it'd probably be slightly different. It is. It's very customizable. Customize the character. Look, you can also actually wait. Now I feel like I should show you one more thing. Hold up. You can also, okay, on the next page. Yeah. You can also they allow you if you want to even customize Cove. Obviously, your choices can determine how it turns out itself. But like if you wanted to, like if you had a very specific look or personality you wanted, but also want to choose whatever your options are, between steps you can also be like, well, actually, I'm going to change how he looks and what he wears. Because, yeah, so they let you do that as well. And then like there's also the personality, so it's just like how warm, like how he's introvert either way, but he's more sociable if he's at warm, and he's less sociable if he's at cold, and then, you know, sporty and studious. Yeah, you could change it if you wanted to as well. I let the game decide based on the options that I make, but yeah, it's such a customizable game. Okay, sometimes I accidentally hit save instead of load, so I wanted to make sure I was on the right thing. Yeah, it's good. I don't know. You blushed and said nothing. You shouldn't gossip. I think things are alright. I mean, I have a bad habit of accidentally right-clicking. Yeah, that's good. I think things are alright. We'll go with I think things are alright. Because, I'll discuss it later more.
Alright.
Alright is better than bad. But, like, really, are you going to be telling him you have a crush on him anytime soon, or what? I don't have a crush on Cove. I'll tell him soon. No way, I'm not telling him. Pretty sure he already knows. You weren't sure if you wanted to tell Cove or not. Ty is one of these two. I'll go into more on the deal in a little bit because it'll come up in the next one, and I finally figured out what I'll do because I had to revisit Ty's Pinterest board. I was like, okay, I need inspiration. See, I looked at this Pinterest board the other day to make sure I got things faster, and I'm still indecisive. I think okay, this is where I go to my other characters to decide. So sometimes I like to think about my other characters and be like, okay, what would they do? And then I decide, because it's like, okay, well, less people would have done this one out of the ones that are optional. So Ryan would be one of these two. Miles would be this one. Paisley. Paisley's a tough one. I think Paisley's like the mix of these three. But, okay. I guess I'll go with this one. I think we'll say Ty's unsure. Yeah. It was a big risk. You had no idea what would happen afterwards. Whatever you're thinking, you know he has a crush on you too, right? You didn't say anything, wondering about the possibilities instead. The two of you talked a little more about Cove amongst other topics and found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sorts of things. Finally, you both decide to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Lee talked excitedly about the show as you did, and you thought back on what you had already accomplished for it. You could definitely do with a little more practice, but what you had so far was a solid foundation for the performance. Upon walking through the front door, you are met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. That's a little nerve-wracking. Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you, Lee frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. Wow, who died? What's going on? You looked between them but said nothing. Hello. Okay, so this is Ty. Ty is a little bit of a jokester, but also it's family, so how far will he joke? I think we'll go with, hello.
Oh.
Hi, Ty. Hello, Lee. Welcome back. The room fell quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. You don't have to stop just because those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad, with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your moms nodded in agreement with her.
Well...
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. The world spun around you at the news. You couldn't understand. Why was this happening now? You glanced at Lee. She shuffled her feet uncomfortably, as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just had never thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. Wow, oh my gosh, I can read. We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Excuse me, sorry. Well, it's happening now, so... Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Thank you. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upwards in surprise. Wait, I wasn't born here?
No.
You weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Am I gonna have to pass some tests to even be a citizen?
No.
You were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed. Placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who are my parents as people? Why did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hand over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer.
I'm so sorry.
Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions. Her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great! So I can never meet them even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Mom immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Ty, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. I want to know. No, I don't want to hear, not right now. You couldn't even answer. He'll get the story. Your parents both nodded in sync to your reply, ready to talk. I can leave if you want to have things be private. I want you to be here, thanks. Lee could stay. I can do that. Lee shifted a little closer to you in support, and you were glad to have her there with you. It made you feel a little stronger somehow. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself for what they were about to tell you. Ma was the first to speak, her voice quivering with emotion. You were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. We used a different organization that time, and you were adopted within the U.S. We're sorry to tell you, Ty, your parents had also passed away. No other family member took you in, if there were any. And that's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry, Ty. Lee gave you a reassuring squeeze on the arm to show she was there for you. Thank you for telling me. Okay. You said nothing. It's not your fault. You didn't kill them, right? You started crying. You were so angry. Ty's gonna thank them for telling him. I did want to know, and now I do. Thank you for listening. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Are you okay?
How are you feeling? Are you going to be okay? Leah watched you closely, as though judging how exactly she should react to what was going on. I feel fine. I feel fine, but you didn't mean that. You started to cry. You held back the tears, but you weren't fine at all. Anger rose inside of you. You definitely weren't okay. You said nothing. In general, I think the most Thai answer is this one, because I mean, Ty buries his feelings. he's a burrier. Yeah. You spoke in the most convincing tone you could. You gave your moms a sad smile, and you weren't so sure they believed you. No one seemed to have any words after that. You went up to your room. You needed to stay here with your moms. You wanted to get out of the house. You wanted to see Elizabeth. You wanted to see Cope. I think he's gonna go check on his sister. Yeah. You were worried about Elizabeth. Even though she had been so angry when talking to your moms about everything, you could see she was clearly sad. You headed over to the stairs and up to her room. Because I think, okay, wait, sorry, I didn't read the options. I was going to start talking about them. I read them in my head, sorry. You asked Lee to go with you. You left Lee in the living room. I think he's going to leave Lee in the living room because I'm sure that he's sure Elizabeth doesn't want like another person there. It would be best to speak to Elizabeth alone. There was more chance of her opening up to you that way. Exactly. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock on it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, and when you jiggled the handle, you found it was locked. Raising your hand again, you knocked louder this time, thinking she must have her headphones on and so couldn't hear you. When she didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear to you that she either couldn't hear or was just straight up ignoring you. It hurt to be shut out, especially right now. Okay, so she doesn't want to talk right now. You went up to your room. You wanted to get out of the house. You wanted to see Cove. Yeah, okay. Ty, I guess then will probably, honestly, let me think. I'm trying to think, because I'm thinking about in my story what he tends to do. And he only reaches out when he really can't, really can't calm himself down. I think he's kind of okay. He doesn't like, he's kind of a private person. Okay, I think he's gonna also go to his room. Yeah, he's gonna also go to his room. When safely behind your closed bedroom door, you let out a heavy breath before heading over to take a seat on your bed. You lay back on your bed and stared up at the ceiling, tracing the outlines of the old crack and lines up there with your eyes. You had no idea what to do now, so you stayed where you were for a while, thinking everything through. Everyone had been so upset earlier, and you didn't really know what you could do to help. Eventually the sun finished setting, casting long shadows on your bedroom walls until the outside was enveloped by the dark of night completely. A sudden knock drew your attention, causing you to sit up straight. When you realized it wasn't coming from the door, but the window, your head snapped towards it. You didn't even have to question who it was. There was only one person who would come tapping at your window, especially at night. You moved closer and looked out, sure enough seeing the familiar head of green hair on the other side of the glass. In only a moment, you had the window unlatched and opened for him to enter. Cove pulled himself in through the window with ease, standing straight in your room and dusting himself off. Cove, what are you doing here? When he saw you, he seemed worried and ran a hand through his hair before speaking. I came to the front door. I wanted to just come by, but your moms told me that they didn't know if you should be bothered right now, that I should come back later. I know they wouldn't have said it like, I can read. I know they wouldn't have said it like if you were working on some school stuff or whatever. So I got worried. I thought something bad happened. And then you climbed up the side of my house? He smiled, feeling unrepentant for disregarding your mom's ruling.
I mean...
How else was I supposed to get in? You couldn't quite believe he had really shown up for you like this, but then again, you shouldn't have been surprised. He was always there for you.
Are you okay?
Well, what happened? Cove pulled your desk chair next to your bed and sat down, his long legs bent in front of him. You fidgeted with I can read. I have to laugh at myself when I can't read properly because it's funny. You fidgeted a little with your bed covers, not quite knowing what to say, but he was willing to wait. There's a lot going on right now. It's nothing. You didn't speak to him. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you're here. My parents are dead. Hang on. There's a lot going on right now. Thank you for coming. I think he'll say there's a lot going on right now. Cove looked at you in confusion, his eyebrows dipping. What is it? My parents, from before my mom's, died when I was a baby. Moms didn't say how, maybe they don't know, but there wasn't any other family I could live with, so that's why I got adopted. Without having to say anything else, Cove reached out and pulled you into a tight embrace, his familiar warmth enveloping you. I'm sorry, Ty. His words were whispered comfortingly into your shoulder. You don't have to do this. I'm okay. You started to cry. You took a step back from him. This is such an emotional thing. I should have recalled that. I should have done a different one for starting off the day with big information. Okay. I don't know. You gotta think about it. I'm trying to think. I guess he'll say I'm okay. I'm trying to think if there's any point in my story that Ty has like full on shown like emotion in front of someone, and there was like one time, and it doesn't count here. Well, I don't think he does in front of his friends, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay, we'll go with this one. Welcome to me taking forever to make decisions. I'm glad you are. Still, he didn't let go. Can you explain everything to me? You nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then, or taking a sharp inhale. Silence settled between you as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you.
I'm so sorry.
About what happened to your parents. So sorry. He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what was right to say. I'm sad I'll never get to know them. I feel bad that I don't feel worse about it. I'm just so mad. You shrugged your shoulders, not knowing how to feel. Ty's more of a this type of person. Yeah, I'm sorry. I started thinking about my other characters as well. Because Ty's is this kind of person, and so is Miles. And I think, honestly, possibly Ryan. Ryan's a little iffy on that. But then I think Leilani would be this one. And then I think Paisley is this one. Mostly because Paisley's an angry person, so being mad is kind of in Paisley's character. Yeah. But yeah. I'll never find out what they're doing or what they're like as people. It's just all gone.
Hi.
You're not doing anything wrong. You know that, right? Cove's funny. He's like, I don't know. It's just I like the way he says stuff sometimes. It's like you can hear the emotion. I like that this game has partial voice acting. I think you can be as sad as you want for as long as you need. Or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair as he looked out towards the window.
It's okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about it is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different. Thank you, Cove. You cried sadly. You cried in relief. You nodded. Thank you. His words made you feel better, and you knew it was true. You didn't have to apologize or make any excuses for the way you felt about it. Cove smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not, wait. My brain needs to reprocess everything. Okay, get it now, sorry. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related, you're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. You felt the reassurance in his eyes. A knock on the door made you look up, but before you could even move, it swung open and Elizabeth stood in your doorframe. She walked closer, and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind moving? I want to talk to just Ty. You can come back. It's not going to be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. You can't ask that. You nodded your head in agreement. I want to talk to you too. Yeah, because Ty did go to her room. He's gonna want to talk to her too.
Really?
Oh, then we're on the same page. She made a little move along gesture with her hands, and it was settled. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking over you. Did Moms tell you about your parents too? I don't want to talk about it. My birth parents also died. He'll be open with her because he heard hers, so she's asking. Elizabeth broke eye contact after that.
Sorry.
Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused, though. I also used to do that, especially in middle school. She's only 2 years older, so she's still in middle school, I believe. The putting on your headphones or listening to music and just sitting away from everything. Why did you stop doing that then? She shook her head as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. Middle school flashbacks. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. That was pretty sucky of you to just bail. I'm amazed that you noticed I was unkind. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm not mad at you. You were quietly surprised by her admission. Okay, Ty's gonna be one of these two. I think he's going to. I think he's gonna say he's not mad. Wait. Yeah, he's not mad at her. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me.
Eh.
How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightning spirits in her were quickly gone as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the U.S. to become president. What? You had never heard of that dream of hers before. She noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never going to be president, but it just feels weird. Having stuff taken away, not even getting a chance at it. I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was going to have a completely different life. So different, I can't even think about what it looked like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've seen here, had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was even if I wanted to. A heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. I feel like that too. You knew exactly how she felt. I don't really understand. Yeah, Ty's gonna be the verbal because he's gonna try to the relatability in conversation. So like between these two, it'll be the he. Yeah. So great at words I am. I can't stop wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't adopted. There are so many things that could have been different. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mom's in the living room, I just kind of said it. Finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Ty. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I'd already figured out a long time ago that our moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. Technically, one of them could have been related to you. You kept listening to Elizabeth. It really doesn't change anything. I think he's gonna keep listening so that she can keep going. Nothing about the family I was born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little brother.
See, I like the partial voice acting. You smiled at her softly. You jokingly groaned at the prospect. You bumped her back. You hugged her. Ty's gonna bump her back. He's a bumpy person. He's also a huggy person sometimes, so maybe he should. I'm gonna flip a coin. He's gonna bump her back. You'll always be my family too. I think I'm really lucky. He took in the moment quietly. Hmm. I'm trying to think of how often Ty says things like this. Cause that's just so nice. It's like, is it the me that wants to say it, or is it the Ty? That's the question. Okay, coin flip. Coin flip gave me permission. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. We should probably head downstairs and make sure moms are okay. It's been a long day for everybody. You gave her a nod. Down we go. We met up with Cove just outside the room and made the short trip to the lower floor of your home together. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped into the living room, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. They both got to their feet when they noticed the arrival, and Ma gave you a careful smile. It seemed they were too concerned to really register that Cove was inexplicably here now, despite being turned away at the door earlier. We're so glad to see you. Hi. I'm sorry for walking away before. Everything is alright. You said nothing. Ty apologizes all the time, so we're going with this one. That's alright, sweetheart. We're just happy to have you here again. Mom came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
We really couldn't have asked for better kiddos. We love you. More than we could ever say. Moms. You smiled at their comfort. You were so glad your moms were alright. You're smushing me. I think Ty's glad they're alright. I love you too. You let them hug you for as long as they needed, and it was a nice moment shared between you. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew then that you all had each other, and you always would. Hey, I hope you're alright. Lee came towards you, a soft smile plastered on her face. And are you okay, Elizabeth? Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, and you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, but you could tell she didn't quite believe her. Well, now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally.
I love the sound of that. Okay. Cove looked a little bashful, likely over being included as a part of the family, but he tried not to pay much attention to it. Why not? You hid the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she hadn't even teased Cove for being a part of it. And no matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be here. He was someone who was really important to you. Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here in the house, with everyone in the same room. You suddenly remembered the show you and Lee had been working on earlier. Maybe we can do our show? You were bummed you never got to do it after all that. You weren't so keen on that now after what had happened. I think they can also watch a movie, but I gotta stay in character. I was curious. I know I saw some options about choosing the type of movie you can watch, and I don't know if that'll happen if you do both or if it's only if you do one. You know, like, yeah. But I guess they'll do their show. I don't know if it'll come up again, and if it's something that came to his mind, he might just suggest it. Cause like otherwise he might have forgotten about it, but since it's like right here as an option. Sure.
Oh.
A show? This is the first time we're hearing of this. I'm intrigued.
Wonderful.
It would be amazing if you could put it on for us to watch. Oh yeah, I need to see what you've cooked up. That'd be cool. He smiled at Lee, who returned the gesture while bouncing on her heels in excitement. Take some seats and we'll get everything together. Your moms collected the chairs from around the dining table and set them in a row in the living room where there was enough space for the show. While they did that, you and Lee quickly gathered the supplies you needed and rehashed the plan one last time. You listened to the song you had chosen one last time. After that, you quickly applied the makeup looks you had practiced earlier. Finally, you changed the outfits you picked out. When the two of you returned to the living room, everyone was sitting and chatting amongst themselves while they waited. The group quieted down when you and Lee stood in front of them on your makeshift stage. Lee was buzzing quietly with excitement beside you. You felt nervous all of a sudden. You were pumped for the show. You weren't sure how to feel. I think Ty's in good spirits because if it's something that's, lifting everyone's spirits, he's in good spirits. I think that's the kind of person he is. The time you and Lee had put into practicing was worth it. You were ready to go. Okay, so welcome to our show. We only came up with it today, but we promise it'll be good. You stayed quiet. Thank you for being here tonight. No refunds. You're gonna be really impressed. No refunds. That's a Thai thing to say. Laughter rippled through the mini audience. Then you nodded at Lee and you're ready to begin. Lee took a deep breath, waiting the few beats and blah, 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 blah. I can read. Lee took in a deep breath, waiting the few beats it took to get into the song and started singing. Your part of the song joined in a few moments later and you smiled at each other as you sang together. Your outfits gave a special element to the performance. The makeup you had done on yourself and Lee made the show feel much more like a real production. When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers and the two of you bowed deeply together. Everyone gave you a round of applause and cheered for an encore. When you straightened yourself up, you were happy to see even Elizabeth was clapping for you. Bravo, bravo.
Good job.
You're so talented. Your family rose from their seats and came to congratulate you more directly. You were beaming from ear to ear. Cove was the first one to approach, stepping up to you and Lee with a smile on his face.
It's nice.
Thank you. You're a really great singer. It was cool. Thanks. I was pretty good, huh? You blushed and said nothing. Luckily, we had a crowd who's easily impressed. Okay, Ty is between the saying that he was pretty good and luckily we had a crowd who's easily impressed because Ty's kind of like that. I guess that's my save spot now. I can save there. Okay, I forgot to properly ask my question, but I think the coin said yes to this one. See, because sometimes when you flip the coin, I have two versions of the questions when I flip a coin. I either ask, should I do this, yes or no, or I ask this option or this option. And I was thinking this sentence when I flipped the coin, so I think it was saying that I should do this sentence. I'm curious what the effects are. I'm gonna look at the chart. And you're humble too. Yeah, see, yeah. Ty is very quote unquote humble in jokes. You laugh together, feeling as light as a feather. Hey, were you the one who did the makeup? Yeah, that was me. Cove smiled, content over his guess being correct.
Not bad.
I thought so. It was good. He couldn't help but feel flattered that he recognized your talent so easily. Your parents gushed about how great everything was and thank you for sharing it with them. Elizabeth was complimentary in her own way, although she did describe the show as cute, which you knew she meant as kind of kitty. You laughed it off, however, and were just happy that everyone had a nice time. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be a part of the family you had. Alright, so there we had family. And the next one is going to be dinner, which will also be kind of a, yeah, a little emotional one, probably, because I decided that we'll talk about the deal. I know that's where the option is. It's in dinner, and I'll let Ty tell him because I was looking at Ty's board on Pinterest, and I was reminded that Ty is the kind of person who feels guilty about things, even if they're not really his fault or anything he did. So even though he didn't accept the money, I think he does feel guilty about not saying that it happened because, as I mentioned a different day, like since he was asked kind of if it happened, like, you know, he wasn't asked directly if it happened, but he was asked like indirectly if it happened because it was like the moment of like where it would have been the answer, but he didn't say it. So I think that leads to he feels guilty about that. And so yeah, so I've decided that will be the thing that happens. Yeah, so it's probably also going to be like a bigger what do you call it, another drama bomb or something, I don't know, but yeah, here we go. Sunlight shone through the windows as you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear. Cove was on the other end. It'd been shaping up to be an ordinary day, like any other, until Cove had called unexpectedly. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. You listened silently as he kept talking, his words stilted. So I was just wondering, do you want to come over to my house for dinner tonight? The question came out strangely, almost like he'd rehearsed it a few times beforehand. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call. Yeah, I'll go. I can't. You kept listening. Yeah, I'll go.
That's,
It was, oh. It seemed that Cove still had more to say, and you just interrupted him. Oops. Cool, well, he stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts again. My mom and dad, they really want you to be here. If your parents don't have a problem with it, they asked me to ask you. You took a moment to think. Dinner at home would be quiet and uneventful today. If you really wanted to, you could go to Cove's instead. Cove spoke up again, breaking your train of thought. His voice was softer than before. Also, I want you to be there. Can you come over, I mean? Yeah, I can come. I'll have to ask my moms and get back to you. No, I can't make it. Why am I the only one invited? Or did you mean the whole family? Ty already said he could go, but he probably does realize that he has to ask his parents. He's somewhat responsible at times. But he did already say he could go. I'm sorry. I get stuck on every decision ever. Okay, the coin says to do this one. Okay, tell me when you can. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Is you coming over for a dinner today that serious? He spoke to you for a little while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, then hung up. And that was that. For now, anyway. You called Ma right afterward, and she picked up on the third ring. It wasn't a long conversation. When you asked to go to the Holden house for dinner, she was more than happy to give permission for it. No problems there. Ma wasn't one to complain about you spending time with Cove. Cove got a quick call from you afterward, so he knew for sure that you would attend dinner. Then you said your goodbyes and went on with the afternoon. Soon enough, the sun dipped out of the sky and evening came. It was time for you to head to Cove's house. After letting Elizabeth know you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted. You made the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple times on the heavy door to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being a guest while both of Cove's parents were there. It was exciting. You were apprehensive. The idea made you curious. You didn't think it would be especially interesting. You couldn't say you were thrilled. I think he's curious about what's going on. You wondered why they decided to invite you out of the blue. Maybe you'd find out later tonight. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts, though. The door opened soon enough. Cove's mom, Kyra, stood in the frame, smiling warmly at you.
Come on.
Heya, welcome. Please come in. She opened the door and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it was kind of last second. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that. Hey, welcome to our humble abode. Oh, for clarification on this, these two are divorced, but for the summer she's staying here. It was his idea, kind of out of the blue, because usually Cove goes and stays with her for a little while, and then, but Cove's dad suggested that she come here for the summer instead this time. So that's clarification on that. They have their own little family thing. And the first step, it was like Cove just moved in because of his parents' divorce. But yeah, I'll continue now. I just wanted to clarify that. You jerked your head towards the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. He waved to you briefly from the kitchen, with his back turned and a large spoon in hand. Hope you're hungry, because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff. True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. With Mr. Holden busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kyra. She gave you a wry smile. He sure is. I've been barred from cooking the entire time I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly and spoke from over his shoulder. You're on vacation, Kyra. You need to accept that already. She yelled back, amusement obvious in her face and in her tone. And people still cook when they're on vacation. Everyone's got to eat. It's not like I'm some celebrity who can go out for every meal or hire a private chef.
Sorry.
Well, in this house, you're a VIP. Kyra smiled and shook her head quietly. Then she turned to face you once more.
Well,
Sorry about that. Here I was, trying to strike up conversation with you, and Cliff just had to butt in. I don't butt in. She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disproving her point with that. Kyra leaned over to whisper to you. It's okay. He likes to be included. But since Clifford insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. The two of us can chat. Her next question continued to be said in a hushed tone, just to be safe.
so?
How are you doing? I'm doing good. Oh, I'm good. Things are okay. I'm not really sure. You didn't reply to her question. Yeah, I think this one. Carrie didn't seem too convinced by your awkward phrasing, but she nodded anyway. She opened her mouth to say something more, but some lightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked as Cove emerged from the hall a few minutes later. He might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. He quickly took stock of the situation. His cheeks turned to peak at the sight of you standing in his living room, and his hand came up to rub his arm almost bashfully. Hi, you made it. Thanks for coming. Cove's voice was unnaturally loud, as if he thought you wouldn't be able to hear him from where you were, only a few feet away. Hi, Cove. You doing okay? I'm fine. I gotta drink some water. I can feel my voice starting to, like, rattle. I like the backgrounds in this game. I kind of wish I could press a button to make the box disappear so I can just, like, look at the background. There's some games that can do that. Not all games can. That's fair. But the backgrounds are nice. I really like it. He didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously, but didn't call him out on it. If you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on then. It was when you glanced away from Cove that you spotted his parents watching the two of you interact. Cove noticed their stares too, meeting them with narrowed eyes.
So,
Are we having dinner now? Not yet, bud. I'm still cooking. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my room. As he turned to leave, he bent his head to the side to face you. You coming? The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled, pleased that he asked, and nodded in the affirmative. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Have fun, you two. We'll call you when the food's ready to go. With that, you followed after Cove. The two of you made your way down the hall. Let's see, this is the first time you were invited to see Cove's room. You had visited Cove's room before, but only rarely. Going over to Cove's room was a standard occurrence for you nowadays. Oh, I got to decide this on my own? Let's see. Well, they are neighbors. But I don't know how often they, like, hang out at Cove's place. Like, it doesn't feel like they would hang out here very often, if that makes sense. So I think I'll go with the middle one. It is a hard choice. You have to decide the whole dynamic. Cove got to the door first, opening it and stepping inside. You joined him. There was a mat on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold into his room, you felt the crunch of sand beneath your feet. The sensation was nothing new to you, of course. Cove promptly came back to his room covered in sand, not bothering to clean himself off at the front door, and got it all over his personal space. That was just how he was, a little bit of a mess. You hadn't heard Mr. Holden ever scold him for it, not like your moms would have if you'd done it. You can sit wherever you want. Cove himself took a seat at the edge of his large bed, looking like the picture of comfort, and left you to decide. Oh, look at his room. I like the colors in here. You didn't sit anywhere. You sat down on the chair. You sat next to Cove on his bed. I think is that too far? Is that too far? Like, is he gonna move the chair? If he's not gonna move the chair closer, then he'll probably just sit on the bed as well. But also, he might sit in the chair instead because technically his clothes are outside. Okay. Me every single time. It's always the simplest ones. It's always the simplest decisions. I'm like, there was a dust chair in the room for a reason. It would be, but if they're friends, it's okay. But I sat. It's the chair. Don't worry, it's the chair. You walked over and rolled it out, taking a seat on it. It was stiff against your butt and creaked each time you shifted. He definitely used his bed space more often than this. Well, too late to complain now. You just have to deal with it. Cove frowned. He was actually disappointed you picked the chair. He might have hoped you to be closer. See, the bed was the correct answer. They should. Can we roll the chair closer? Oh, I guess this is it. This is this. Yeah, it helps a little to have it to have a character to make decisions, but some of the decisions are hard. It's like, dang, wait. Technically, there's no quote unquote wrong answers, but sometimes it feels like it a little bit. But you know, this game also, if you ever don't like an answer, you can rewind it. See, I just rewinded. I can rewind a little further if I wanted to. But yeah, there's a little bit of rewinding you can do by scrolling the mouse. What do you call that? The little scrolly thing on the mouse. Me already forgetting what the sentence was. Oh right, I remember. You were nervous about that. You smiled comfortingly at him. You chuckled over it. You felt very charmed by his reaction. I think Ty's gonna laugh. I think he's gonna chuckle about it. He raised his eyebrows. You both kept noticing the other's every move. You only shrugged back. It's nothing, don't worry about it. You're like an open book, you know that? You're such a sweet guy, Cove. You're adorable. Oh, what did Ty say? Ty's kind of teasing. But I think da, 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 da. Ah. I'm sorry. Wait, I gotta. The coin says I should do this one, but I'm not sure. We'll go with this one. Oh no, he looks sad. Wait, I rewinded too far. We'll try this one. I don't know which one to choose. They said I'm not. R2. Cove scowled before shifting nervously on the bed. He pointedly glanced away from you. The tips of his ears were red. Should I go back? Should I go back to the one I was originally gonna do? The coin says I shouldn't. Okay, fine. I'll look up what this answer did later, probably. With the silence growing, your gaze began to drift. You stared at the bright fish swimming in the tank. There were a bunch of them, floating to and fro in the open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquarium plants. How long have you had those fish?
I guess.
My dad bought them for me not very long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now. Wow, that's a long time. He peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well, but He must take good care of them. Most of them were small, but there was one, especially big one. What are their names? I don't name them. Not really. He lifted an eyebrow at that. He continued to explain. He continued the explanation sheepishly.
I mean...
Mostly, I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for a really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish, and I'm not that good at coming up with names. You found that funny. You found that surprising. You found that relatable. That's fair. I mean, it's still kind of naming them. It's like when you name your Pokemon. How do you name your Pokemon? I name my Pokemon by going, okay, they have to have a letter that's the same as the type of Pokemon they are. Like, if it's a Pikachu, it's got to start with a P. And then the first name I think of comes with that. But I think that, like, it makes sense to be like, oh, it's still naming in a way, you know? You get it. You didn't have any pets, but you always had trouble naming your stuffed animals or whatever else. It was such a hard choice. Honestly, yeah, I used to name my stuffed animals. Like, I had, like, Blue Bear. I had a Blueberry Bear. They were two separate bears. I had Blue Bunny, so it's just, like, very direct naming. Yeah, Blue Bear wasn't actually blue. Blue Bear had a blue bow. Blueberry Bear was blue. Very blue. Oh. That's a good name though. Was it Fluffy? Oh, a couple of them have other types of names though, that I can read. There's no though in that sentence. couple of them have other types of names. He pointed to a small orangish red fish. It was minding his own business, away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher. And that other one's Mark. Mom came up with that one. Cove smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. Super fluffy. That's nice. Our family had some dogs, and they were like, often, they had multiple names, but they had some names that were like named after food. So like, well, the one I remember mostly, there was Pork Chop. But then there was like, some of them had multiple names, so I can't give you all of their food names. I just know that there was Pork Chop was one of them. And then there was Buddy. We had Omega. Yeah, dog names. But I didn't name any of those, so I guess. Oh, that's okay too. My dog stuffed animal named Lister Fluffy. Yeah, it would be fluffy, wouldn't it? No worries, though. You let other people name your fish?
It's nice.
Yeah. He then turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one? Yeah, I do. Can I? No, thanks. Ty's gonna double ask permission. His smile grew a little at your interest. Sure. There's a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick which one you want to name. You pointed each of the recent acquisitions out to you. The first was the smallest fish in the tank. It was completely orange and zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second was slightly bigger and red. Wait, what was the color of that one? Orange. Okay. Its tail was dotted with black spots, which almost resembled freckles. The last fish was the biggest one. Its multicolored scales rippled under the bright light of the tank as it slowly made its way across the vast expanse. You went with orange, red with black dots, multicolored. I think Ty's gonna name the red one. Cove only nodded at your answer, waiting on you to decide on a suitable name. You watched the fish you chose closely. As you did, a name eventually came to you. Oh look, I can even type in my own answer. Frank, Sunbeam, Gil, Tyrone, naming after myself, Cove, and then type in your own answer. That one was the speedy one, right? No, it was the first one was the speedy one. The one almost resembled freckles. The way I'm like low-key naming all the fish right now based on those names. Which they fit which fish better. I guess we'll go with, I can type in an answer. What would Ty name a fish? This is me being a nerd. No, we're gonna name it Shadow. Like Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah. That's what we're doing. We're naming it Shadow. Because honestly, that's the first thing I thought of in the first place when it was red with black. I was like, Shadow? Thank you. Alright, it's Shadow. With that, his attention moved from you to the tank. He peered fondly at it and its inhabitants. He smiled proudly at Shadow as it swam through the tendrils of the plants disappearing, then reappearing soon after. You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even fish. The corners of Cove's lips turned down at that. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of their tank and feed them and they'll be okay. Yeah, even goldfish can last longer than people think they last if you take care of them properly. True story, I had a goldfish. Right? My mom's can be strict over the weirdest things sometimes. I don't mind it too much. I get it. See, it's always the simplest ones. It's always the simplest options, and I go, wait. I think I'm doing this one. I flipped a coin, but I was half paying attention to my coin. We'll go with this one. They trust Elizabeth and me to go around the neighborhood alone, but they won't let us have a pet. It doesn't make sense. Maybe when you're older they'll let you? I don't know, they seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched into it without any warning, earning you a brief, confused look from Cove. One time Elizabeth, she used to go by Lizzie, but she stopped wanting to go by her nickname, came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food, and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My mom didn't think much of it at first, though. But that night, Ma went to her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Mom and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. Cove's eyebrows rose at that, and he leaned forward in interest.
Really?
A lizard? Where'd that come from? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got the answer, so she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during night, but she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened. You laughed, thinking back to that time. Elizabeth had always been stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. Cove had been quiet for most of the story, apart from the reveal of the lizard. He had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have a sibling. You gave serious thought to his statement before you told him. It's fun. There are ups and downs. You're lucky to be an only child. It's a nice idea in general, but my sister is Elizabeth. I don't know how to explain what it's like. I think yeah, I think Ty likes having a sibling. Yeah, in my story, he's the older sibling rather than the younger sibling. So that's like the thing. It's like, well, is it different? Though I do think Ryan, who's also an older sibling, would say this one. So it's just, you know. Yeah, I'll say it's fun. When we were younger, Lizzie and I played together when our parents were too busy. I probably would have been really bored if I didn't have her. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them quietly for a while.
Cool.
That's interesting. I think your family is cool. He didn't have much else to say, though, while on the topic of your family, you considered your relationship with your moms too. They were absolutely the best. You got along with your moms. You thought your moms were okay. You found your moms to be difficult to deal with. What to say? They're the best. Like, most of my characters get along with their parents, like, pretty fine, like, pretty great. Well, no, I say most, and then I'm like, well, you know, Paisley's rocky and Frankie's rocky, but I think, like, Leilani would probably be one of these two. But see, it's because, like, in my story, I know Ty adores his mom, but I haven't done that much with, okay, we'll say this one. It's just better. Yeah, it's easy. I'll think about it later. You couldn't even consider having another opinion. You couldn't have better parents. Well, say what you want about them, but at least your mom's never tried to pay someone to be your friend. The thought prompted you to look over at Cove. You probably still didn't know that happened. Oh no, now it feels too awkward to bring up. You doubted that Mr. Holden mentioned it, and you never had. You wondered if you should tell him. It was a long time ago, but you were keeping a secret from Cove. Exactly, it's a secret. It's just the hard part. You didn't tell him it was a bad time. You didn't tell him you weren't sure how he'd react. You didn't tell him secrets are meant to be kept. You didn't tell him you just didn't want to have that talk with Cove. You decided to tell him. Okay. You see, because it's like a... It feels really awkward. I came here today like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do the thing. And now I'm like, wait, I don't know. Which guilt wins over? Because I said you would tell him, but now I'm like, maybe he shouldn't. Because it's like awkward conversation, right? It's like, oh yeah, having siblings is so fun. Hey, by the way, did you know your dad tried to pay me to be your friend? I have a lot of people say that this is the best time to tell him. Like, a lot of people have said it. Now I'm like, I came here. Yeah. It is a little wild. First time they met. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so at the beginning of the game, you meet Cove's dad first. You do have the option of like not really interacting with him and like running off, but you could also stay and see what he's trying to say. And he's like takes out like a $20 bill. It's like, will you be my kid's friend? Basically. So yeah, I literally offered him like a $20 bill to be his kid's friend because they had just moved in. You have the option of accepting or not, and I did not accept, but yeah. Exactly, they're also about to have dinner, so it's like, that's so awkward. I shouldn't say anything, should I? It's like, the setup is like, what? I don't know how it'll turn out later. That's a good point. Because there was also a chance to tell him with kids, because like there was this other kid who was like, well, nobody actually wants to hang. Like they got into a little bit of an argument because they were both kind of like, they're not great at interacting with people, Cove, and then the other kid was Shiloh. And basically he said that like people, like Cove's just like kind of pushed to hang out with them, like he's like, people don't actually choose to, sort of, and like his dad is like always trying to get people to hang out with him. And afterwards, Cove kind of asks about that, and like, obviously, the character and Cove are like actual friends. And they hang out because they hang out, but the options are like, you could, you know, but it's like that did happen. His dad did try to pay you to hang out with him, whether you accepted it or not. It did happen. So you have the option to tell him that, or to be like, nah, no one's making me hang out with you. And there was another option that kind of like implied like, I mean, yeah, kind of a little, but like there's also just like, oh yeah, here's what happened with your dad, but like we didn't tell him that time. But now like, dang, and I feel like this character would feel guilty that he hasn't said anything, especially because that was like 4 years ago now, and it's been like he hasn't said anything. And I feel like now that even if he wasn't like thinking about it beforehand, I feel like he would feel really guilty having not told him. But would he also feel guilty about telling him is the thing. It's like, which guilt weighs out? The coin's undecisive. The coin said the coin wasn't helpful. Maybe it's because I asked too many times. So just because, you know, sometimes you have to be certain. But let me get a new coin. You know, that's what I should do. I'll get a new coin so it's refreshed. Okay, I'll rip off the band-aid. Yeah, it's been 4 years. And if I don't tell him now, then it won't be another option until another 4 years. Okay. Hold up. I'm gonna save. I save at very stressful decisions. I'm also scared. I haven't actually even seen how it's gone before, because like I've seen some of this game and I know what happens if you don't tell him, so I guess that's more reason too. Also, it's like, what even happens if you do? I'm nervous. You took a deep breath. You took a deep, steadying breath to prepare yourself for the conversation. Now you just had to figure out how to tell him. My bot worked. The timer, sorry, got distracted by that. Cove, I have something important to tell you. Hey, you wanna know something crazy? Please don't get mad about this, but... Okay. Hang on. This Ty. How would Ty say this? Something important to tell you. Please don't get mad. Yeah, okay. Cause I don't think he'll want to control people's feel. Like, he doesn't want to come off as he's trying to tell you how to feel. So I'll probably, and it's important to him. Cove's head cocked to the side at your serious tone. He turned to give you his full attention.
What?
What is it? You stared into his bright ocean eyes. The song's always gonna play in my head every time they describe his eyes like that. Ocean eyes. Every time. They give you a second chance to change your mind. You chickened out. Never mind. You told him the truth. Right? It's really building up this tension. Okay. we already started. It'd be kind of unfair to back out now. Especially because it's like when you start to say something and then don't say it, like sometimes that really bothers a person, you know, and it gets stuck in their mind and they're like, but what were you gonna say? So we'll carry forth. I'm so nervous. This happened back when you moved here. It was the first time I met your dad. There's not really any other way to say it, so he offered me $20 to be to be friends with you. It did happen. Cove sat still. Uncharacteristically, there was an unreadable expression on his face. His eyes seemed to look through you, and you didn't know what to do next. We didn't accept it. Throw that in there. We didn't accept it. Then, without saying a word, Cove stood up from his bed in a single motion, and he just bolted right out of the room. For a moment, you didn't move a muscle. You were in shock. This was... oh no. Your senses quickly came back. You shot out into the hall after him. Cove! There was no response to your call. You could see Cove down the way. He had already sprinted back to the living room. His arms were stock at his sides, and his hands tightly balled into fists. I'm so nervous. I've got to remind myself that people think that it's important to tell him because they think that it helps the Cove's family's relationship improve in the long run. He might not have been facing you, but you didn't need to see his face to know how Cove felt. He was ticked. His parents were nearly finished setting the table. They greeted him, none the wiser of what was about to happen. I ruined dinner!
Huh?
Hey, what's up? When did you start running in the house? Are you that famished? You were able to catch up in full and stand near Cove. The parents' words didn't even register in his ears. Their child was wholly focused on another matter. He was practically shaking. Cove took one more step forward and glared up at his father's face. You paid Ty to be friends with me? Mr. Holden froze. He looked like a helpless deer caught in the headlights.
Seriously?
Clifford, are you serious? He whipped his head towards Kyra, his eyes wide and blinking rapidly. It was only one time! The admission elicited an aghast expression from his ex-wife. Mr. Holden raised his hands up to gesture defensively. It seemed like a good idea when it happened. She covered her eyes with one hand. It was clear that her patience was frayed, but she was not so shocked anymore. Right, exactly. We didn't accept the money. Mr. Holden bowed his head, rubbing the back of his neck guiltily. The fact that she accepted this as something he'd do so easily seemed to be the most crushing part. Cove just stood there, fuming silently during their little aside. His eyebrows furrowed painfully, and his eyes trembled. You felt so bad for Cove. You felt so bad for Mr. Holden. You felt so bad for Kyra. You felt so bad for yourself. You felt so bad for everybody. You thought this was uncomfortable. I'm feeling bad for everybody. This is... whoops. None of this was good at all. It was terrible. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but must have been only minutes, the tense silence was broken by Cove. I don't want to stay here. That immediately caught his parents' attention. They turned to him with twin expressions of worry. Hey, wait a minute, bud. You don't have to do that.
It's alright.
There's still your room. We'll stay out of your way, I promise. Where could you go at this time of day? It's almost night.
No!
I can stay with Ty. You stormed out of the house without waiting for another response. You jumped as soon as the door slammed closed behind him. You immediately followed after Cove. You just stood there. Oh, we're gonna follow after Cove because well, yeah, because he mentioned staying with Ty. So Ty's gonna take his leave. If he hadn't said that, Ty might just stand there like, oh, what do I do now? The standing guy emoji. Oh, I should. Should he? Wait. Should I see what happens if we stay there? Should I rewind and check? Okay. Well, we'll just see what happens. Let me hold up. I guess I don't actually need to save it, but I will, and I will. Me indecisive. Okay, we'll save here. We'll see what happens if I stand there. Cove's parents sighed deeply in unison once the door was shut. For a handful of seconds, no one spoke again. Then Mr. Holden slumped his shoulders, his gaze still lowered. Sorry, Kyra. Kyra shook her head. Though visibly unhappy, she seemed more disappointed than angry. I don't want to fight about this. I don't even want to talk about this, honestly. Unless there's anything else I should know that's been going on while I'm away?
No.
There isn't.
Fine.
Then fine. Let's give Cove some time to calm down. We can try and convince him to come home later. Mr. Holden's mouth tightened, but he nodded in agreement. He seemed defeated. So far they haven't. No attacks yet. Okay. You shifted your feet, feeling awkward. Kyra glanced over at you, her eyes widening as if she just realized you were still there.
Alright.
Tyrone, sorry for this. I guess dinner's kind of ruined, huh? Could you go home for now? It wasn't like you had much of a choice, but you nodded anyway before making your way to the front door. You slipped on your shoes without a word. Just as you left, though, Mr. Holden quietly called out to you. I'm really sorry for involving you. Right? So, dinner's ruined. Sorry about that. I guess no food. You glanced over your shoulder and met his eyes. The smile he offered you was a shadow of the real thing. You carefully shut the door behind you, letting out a deep breath, then you began to walk. You stopped once you reached the middle of the street. You glanced around, but you couldn't see Cove anywhere. You hadn't locked the door, so it's possible he'd gone inside by himself. There's only one way to find out. You made the very brief trip back and entered your house. By then, night had fully come. Cove was indeed there. He sat sulkily on your couch, staring at his hands that rested in his lap. You closed the door behind you and approached him, silent. He didn't even get to ponder what to do. He got up and walked a few paces away from you. The two of you stood tensely together in the middle of your living room. The night really hadn't gone as you imagined it would. At least Elizabeth wasn't around, and your moms are out. You had no idea how you would have explained the situation to them, and you were sure Cove wouldn't have been up for that. He watched you from a distance. His expression wasn't hostile, but it was not exactly welcoming either. Are you okay? What do you want to do now? I'm really sorry, Cove. You did the right thing by leaving. Do you want to be doing this? You said nothing. I'm really sorry. Cove shifted his nose backwards to you, then he crossed his arms over his chest. Are you mad at me? To your surprise, he actually responded. What? No?
I'm Mom's okay.
I wish I'd known before, but I guess there's never really a good time to bring up something like that. You're not the one who did anything. His tone was clipped and insulting, though it was now fully clear that none of the negativity was towards you. And we're actually friends, aren't we? It doesn't matter if you took it or not. You wouldn't pretend for years just because of Dad's money. You nodded your head furiously at that. If there was one thing you didn't want this revelation to do, it was weaken your relationship. Of course we're friends. Cove seemed to appreciate your reassurance. The furrow in his brow eased a little. Yeah, we are. I'm definitely not mad at you. I should thank you for not letting him get to you, and for telling me it happened. My dad never would have. He's always like this, just does things. He doesn't ask or tell me about it or anything. Cove threw his arms out, his features twisted in frustration. There already was the thing with my mom coming to stay with us for the summer out of nowhere, and that was supposed to be a surprise I'd find out about. Who knows what other things he's done that I've never heard of? Does he even know how to think about what someone else might actually want? He paused to take a panting breath, scowling. You continued to listen quietly. I'm sorry you have to deal with all that. You're right, that's terrible. Could be worse. Even if it didn't go well, your dad's only trying to make you happy. Earlier we accidentally cut him off. But, Ty is a person who, I'll say here. Yeah, cause like I like I'm gonna say this one, but like I understand why this one's an option, because in the time at least we as viewers can understand that his dad was like, everything is changing for my son, and I brought him to this new town and he doesn't have any friends and he's really sad, so I gotta get someone to be his friend. It's just the way he went about it was not good. I guess we'll say this one. His eyes narrowed. That's not even what all of this is. The worst part is, I know he doesn't do stuff for himself. He does things because he wants to make people happy. Cove blinked rapidly. You noticed tears were gathering in his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with emotion. But he just makes everything worse, and then he's really sorry, and it's like it's your fault for not being happy that he was at least trying. And what if all his plans and always being so pushy did change things? What things? Cove finally met your gaze, his bottom lip trembling. You realized then that he was referring to you and him. What if what he did made you stay away from me before we even got to know each other? His voice cracked as he forced himself to speak through the tears that began to fall in earnest. He did everything he could to say it, but the words were barely a whisper. You're the best thing about coming here. Oh, he's crying. Cove was honestly terrified over the idea that there was a chance the two of you might not have what you do. You stepped forward and rested a hand on his shoulder. You hugged him. You smiled reassuringly. You wiped his tears. We're gonna... Ty gives hugs. We're gonna do the hug. Yeah. Cove readily accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms around you in return. The grip was firm. I'm really glad we got to be friends. Please don't cry. Hey, don't worry about it, alright? You didn't need to say anything. I wouldn't have let anything, your dad or anyone else, mess things up. Oh, okay, I read the sentence wrong. I wouldn't have let anything your dad or anyone else did mess things up. See, it's always the simple choices. The simpler ones. We'll say this. Yeah, we'll say this one. His features crumbled at your words. You couldn't tell exactly what his expression was, but it seemed a mix between relief and sorrow. He sniffled. Me too. You remained like that for just a little while. Then he scrubbed his eyes with the back of one hand. His gaze turned away from you, growing distant. He's like that with my mom, too. The anger he'd begun to release bubbled back to the surface. Dad wants to make people happy, but he doesn't. The words landed scathingly hard. You were certain it'd crush Mr. Holden if he heard them. You'd never known much about his parents' relationship, but you thought you understood it a bit better now. I'm really sorry. Oh my gosh, let me drink some of my water. I'm really sorry. You don't actually mean what you're saying. Do you hate your dad? I'm here for you. You felt bad things were so hard for Cove and his dad. You didn't say anything. I'm really sorry. Cove just looked at the ground. As the two of you were stifled by the quiet, a thought came to your mind, abrupt and sudden. Sorry, I was thrown back. These are completely two different options. What about your fish? I remember that day when it happened. What? That awkward moment when you're a little bit at a loss because you're like, wait, huh? What? Looking at the timestamps to know which one was next. Okay. What? I also am vaguely aware. I'm vaguely aware that there is a possible CG to get from this route, but I don't know if I already missed it or if I still have to do more. So, I don't know. Should I try this one? I guess I will. And I'll see if it's like at all comforting because it's the same day they did become friends and they actually met. I don't know. Well, already saved. Okay, we'll carry on. We'll see what happens next if we continue talking about it, I suppose. I did read the options, right? The way I forget immediately. Anyways, I remember that day when it happened. That's which one I clicked up. You ran to the hills behind the house, and Mr. Holden waited for you to come back while my mom checked the park for you. That was when I met you the first time, after you talked to me about you. Cove lifted his eyes just enough to see you. His head remained low. I remember too, when we first moved to Sunset Bird, I felt like I lost my whole life. Maybe that's why you wanted to help you start a life here so much. His eyebrows scrunched up, and he seemed on the verge of tears once more. It was obvious Cove didn't want to think about his dad that way, but it was also hard not to right now. He must be conflicted over where to go from here. Your dad still needs to stop being so forceful, though. You might feel better than you do if you tried to make up with your dad. You guys really need to learn how to communicate. I'll be on your side no matter what you do about your dad. You stayed quiet. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm comparing this in my head to a scene in my script because it doesn't happen exactly like this, but I'm trying to remember what his responses were in this scene where a different character was having trouble with their parents and what he said. And he didn't say any of this stuff exactly, but he did lean towards like, hey, you should talk to them option. He just didn't say that flat out. It was more like you don't have to worry as much. So, you know, this one, I think sometimes you gotta compare what your characters have done to figure out what they would do. And I think this is the one that is most like what happens in that scene. Because it was like a character was avoiding answering their parents' call, but it was mostly because they were like, it was because of their own insecurities about being unwanted, but like, yeah. Okay. Long story short, I think it's this one. Ko frowned thoughtfully. I did say the right thing, right? Yeah. Ko frowned thoughtfully. He didn't say anything, but you had a feeling he was taking what you said into consideration. I'm going back home. His face was set in determination. Hey, I got an achievement. The deal 2. During step 2, tell Cove about the deal you made with his dad. His face was set in determination. There was no way you could tell him to do anything else, even if you wanted to, so you only nodded.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Ty. I'm sorry about all this. Maybe that's how you get the CG. Maybe you have to go along with it. Me really trying to, I want to get all the pictures. You gotta catch them all, you know? So we'll ask. I think that, because, okay, so one of the things you also got to do when playing a character is sometimes you just have to justify the answers to yourself. Like, what would lead the character to doing this? And I think if it was worded slightly differently, he would ask. Like, he would probably say, do you want me to come with you? Rather than, can I come with you? Or, is it okay if I come with you? Or something like that. But like, you know, kind of like how in the last moment, Lee was like, I can leave if you want. So this is like, I can come if you want. You know, like that's what the way it would be worded. Family drama. We'll ask. Oh, yeah? Why wouldn't you go? See, Cove expects you to be there anyway. He smiled lightly. Just checking. Cove nodded and headed outside. He followed behind him. Once again, the two of you made your way across the street towards his house. He didn't pause at the door. He just opened it wide and went in. Cove's parents were sitting at the table, their heads bowed in silence between them. They snapped over at the sound of the door, relieved to see Cove return. Mr. Holden stood up so suddenly his chair squealed across the floor.
Cove?
Kyra got out of her chair as well, but less dramatically. How are you feeling, baby? I wanted to talk to you. His parents looked over him, their features soft. Cove instead snuck a glance at you. You were glad you could be here for him. You suddenly felt like you shouldn't be here. Where's the all of the above option? It's like two different feelings, but they don't have to be mutually exclusive, you know? But, We'll click on this one. Ty likes to be supportive of his friends. Ty's a supportive person. He stared back solidly, hoping you could convey your support with your eyes. It must have worked because Cove stood up a bit straighter. Cove then fully faced his parents. Mr. Holden stepped forward cautiously, his expression twisting in dismay. I am so sorry, Cove. I should have never done something so stupid. It's okay. It really isn't. That was a bonehead move if ever there was one. I was bribing an actual child, one I'd never even met before that day. Yeah, that's the other thing. Cove almost cracked a smile, though he quickly regained his composure. Then it isn't, but I want things to be okay anyway.
I'm sorry.
Kyra placed a hand on Mr. Holden's shoulder. Your dad doesn't believe there's something wrong with you, or that you can't make your own friends. He can explain.
I know.
I know why Dad did it. He wanted me to be happy, that's all. He didn't think it'd be like this. It was an accident. Kyra sighed heavily. A sad smile appeared on her lips. You're very grown up, Cove. Mr. Holden brought his hands against his forehead and began to pace around the room. He didn't seem to know what to do with himself. He turned back around to face Cove and Kyra. He looked more solemn than you'd ever seen him. I'm not going to do it again. I haven't done it again. You haven't tried to bribe more people, or haven't continued to step over a line without registering it? Both. He let out a heavy breath before shrinking down a little. It was impressive because he was pretty tall.
I'm trying.
I don't know, but I don't think so. Cove's throat bobbed when he swallowed thickly. He looked like he was trying to gather all his courage. When he spoke up, his voice was small but firm. You invited Mom here. His dad's eyes widened. Cove was ready to have a talk he had put off before. You didn't ask me if I wanted things to be like this, with both of you together again for just a little while. Mr. Holden's hands slowly returned to his forehead. He was stunned, as if someone had just hit him. I did it again, and I didn't even notice. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do something right? At least Cove seemed relieved he was able to say what he felt. He knew just how long he'd been holding that in. It was quiet for a long stretch. Mr. Holden had sat down in a chair, his shoulders drooped and his head in his hands. You looked to Cove. He watched his dad and how genuinely he was struggling with what he'd been told. Cove glanced down at the ground, then looked back to his dad. I'm not angry anymore. Slowly, Mr. Holden met his son's eyes. I can try to talk to you about things and what I feel about stuff. I stopped saying that to you since everything happened. I didn't want to talk to you, but you won't have guessed if you know. You won't have to guess if you know. Mr. Holden broke eye contact at that, shaking his head.
God.
My child shouldn't have to take care of me. You shouldn't have to make up for my shortcomings, Cove. I can fix things. I can still change. After having something of an outburst, Mr. Holden turned his face away and spoke more guardedly. Besides, I'm used to that already. I might not get it right, but not a darn thing would happen in what's left of this family if I wasn't making the effort. It's always me. What's one more thing to manage? Dad.
I see.
You're right, Cliff. I know. But I don't think Cove wants to take care of you. He just wants to understand. And he wants his dad to understand too. That's what matters, isn't it? It was still as Mr. Holden digested what Kyra said. He stared down at his empty hands, held out in front of him. When he looked at Cove again, tiny tears glimmered in the corners of his eyes. He got up and crossed the room to his son. Cove didn't move or look away as he approached. Mr. Holden set his hands on Cove's shoulders, the touch firm. He furrowed his brows. Bud, you and I are going to have a talk about every single thought that ever pops into our heads for the rest of your life. He shook Cove forward and back a bit. Tears slipped down Cove's cheeks, but he was smiling.
What?
No, I don't want that. Mr. Holden began to smile too. It trembled at the corners, but it was genuine. I'm afraid it's the only way. Kyra chuckled, even as she blinked away her own tears. Mr. Holden turned towards her. You better not be thinking you can get away from this, Kyra. The same is going to apply to you. You can't! He let go of Cove with one hand and placed his other arm around Cove's shoulders. Then he faced Kyra.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, I can. He continued to talk as he walked in her direction, bringing Cove along with him. Hey, we got it! Then, father and son were standing in front of her. Mr. Holden put his other arm around her. Now, he had both of them in his arms. If you think the ideas that I actually go with are bad, you two are going to be amazed by the thoughts I decide against all on my own. Kyra jokingly cringed at the concept. Cove smiled tearfully up at his parents. Thanks, Dad.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, son. But hey, you know what I'm thinking now? Cove, wiping his face with the back of his hand, shook his head. Oh, excuse me, sorry. God, no. You're an incomprehensible maniac. Mr. Holden laughed, not disputing her words. I can read. I'm thinking we should eat that dinner I painstakingly made. It's salvageable. Just gotta heat it back up. Kyra sighed in exaggerated relief.
Can do.
That we can manage, right, Cove? Yeah. Great. We're making progress already.
Well,
Though, I don't even know how I'm going to start making this up to Tyrone. Carrying that secret for all this time must have been quite the burden to bear. Plus, he didn't actually get any money out of the deal. He didn't take the 20. I'm not mad about it or anything. It was a hard time for your family. Either way, we will work on it. Okay. Cove ducked his head and spoke towards you. There was a tiny smile on his face. Do you want to stay for dinner still? I'd love to. Mr. Holden finally let go of his family. Kyra patted him on the back with a content sigh. You're very good boys. I'm so lucky. Cove shyly rubbed his arm, while Mr. Holden nervously rubbed his neck. Neither could make eye contact out of bashfulness. In that moment, they really did seem like father and son. Cove's family was nice, you thought to yourself. You were glad you got to come over. Woo, we did it! we made it through. I know that the end of summer and the in-between and the start of summer could be kind of long. So I had to decide if I want to do road trip now or later, because I usually get off around like noonish, and it's almost noon. It's only like 20 minutes till noon. So I should probably maybe start to wrap up. It feels like it's gonna be a really long stream on Monday. I guess it'll just have to be a little bit of a, I don't know how long road trip is, and that's the thing, because, like, I'm slow at making decisions, and, I'm slow at making, oops, wrong one. I'm slow at making decisions. There's 1, 2, 3 left. Oh, you know what? I think I know how to unlock this one. I don't know what it looks like, but I think I know how to unlock it. Meanwhile, I'm assuming that these are in the end of summer. So like after I click the button, but I think this one will be in road trip. But how about talk about food? I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm indecisive. I think I should probably wrap up because I am hungry. Yep, that's what we'll say. I'm gonna wrap up because I'm also hungry. That was they're not always like that. The scenes, they're not always as emotionally like filled. Thank you. They were intense. They're not always like that. Sometimes they're a lot chiller. I'm pretty sure road trip will be a lot chiller, in all honesty. What I know about road trip is that both families go on a little trip together. They're like I don't know if they get an RV, they get something and they ride out to like a mountain or something. I don't quite remember, but I know that it's something like that. I promise this game is fun. It's not always this stressful. Yeah, it was yeah. But hey, they worked it out. Everyone was happy in the end, in both scenes. Everyone got to be happy. Yeah, I'm glad you had fun. I also I was excited. I wanted you to be able to see the game at least once. Like so I was like I should just play it. She can see it today. But yeah, it's a cool game. I'll play it some more on Monday though. You won't be able to see it, but I'll play it more on Monday. Maybe I should switch my days to Saturday. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do with Saturdays yet. I don't know what I'm doing next week. Yeah, so that was a stream. Usually I wrap up here and I mention that I do have VODs on YouTube where I upload all my videos. This is now I'll be 3 videos behind because I haven't uploaded yesterday or Thursdays yet, but they shouldn't take too long to upload when I actually do it. But yeah, so yeah, for anyone else watching, you could find my VODs on YouTube. Alright, I'll be sure to upload it as soon as after I play it. Yeah, it'll be cool. Thank you for stopping by and watching. I have a lot of fun with these games. I'm excited again for whenever the update is going to be expanded in like November. So I'm excited for that. I'm like, I should just, but yeah, till then I'm playing this game and this one is also fun. It was their one beforehand, but it is also enjoyable. They expand the options in the other one too though. Like in the other game, you're the one who moves into town. And at one point it's like one of the examples of how they expand the options. It's like you're asked how far your place you lived was. And so then you have options where you can label where you used to live. So you're just like, oh, I lived here, which wasn't that far. So there's like 4 of those because it's like it was close, it wasn't too far, it was kind of far, it was nowhere near here. But then there's also just like vague, so you don't have to actually label it. And then you don't even have to verbally respond in it, and you could just think it. So it's like even more options in the other game. But yeah, there's that. So there we have it. That's that. And yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to go over. I already went over why I didn't end up playing Identity V. I'm gonna have to fix my audio setup because it'd be playing from my phone. And I have this thing that I can plug in to move the audio here, but I can't hear it. There was one way I did it in the past where I was able to make it my desktop audio where I could also hear it, but I couldn't figure out how to do that the other day. And then I couldn't get the audio to work at all today. So I was like, well, I'll figure it out in time. But, yeah. Whoops, wrong thing. There we go. I have this here. And yeah. So there's that. Thanks for watching. I don't know how fast or slow the cutoff is. So I'm just gonna stop talking here and let this sit for a second because sometimes the video clips when I hit the stop button. But yeah, that's all. I'll be back to play more on Monday, and then I might play more Taylor Tales next week, but I'd be starting a new route if I do. So yeah. Bye. Thank you, and thank you for coming, and thank you for and telling me to enjoy my meal. I will.